And the fact is, we caught Joe Biden, President Obama, the whole group. You can look at Brennan and Comey and Clapper, the whole group. We caught them spying on our campaign. This was an illegal act like no other illegal act. This was treason.
So much action in 2 days. Our president is working nonstop for us. Possible attack on the White House, Biden's VP pick, bombs and fires around the world. It is a hot month. Wow, have you seen gold and silver? Well, gold just made history. It hit its record high of $1,933.30, and Bloomberg says it will zoom past $2,000 sooner than expected. Bank of America said it will get to $3,000 in 18 months, and billionaire Thomas Kaplan predicted a new decade-long bull market that will push past $5,000 an ounce. If you're sick of low returns, hassle, and volatility, it's time to look at gold and silver. Choose precious metals with Noble Gold. Move to an IRA or 401k this month. You may even get a free 5-ounce Silver America, the beautiful coin. Go in that description box below, noblegoldinvestments.com today.
Also, earlier this year, hundreds of Americans, working men and women at the Tennessee Valley Authority, the TVA, were told that they would lose their jobs to lower-paid foreign workers imported from abroad, and then suffer the further indignity of training their foreign replacements. President Trump boldly and resolutely intervened in defense of these hardworking Americans, rallying to their case, rushing to their aid, and taking action to restore their jobs. He invited laid-off workers and their representatives to the White House, and then he fired the chairman of the board of the TVA and one other board member. President Trump offered an ultimatum. The firings would continue until the cruel and heartless decision to fire the hard-working Americans was reversed. TVA did reverse. Layoffs have been canceled and tech workers have been rehired. In the words of Gay Henson, president of the Engineering Associates IFPTE Local 1937, the labor union representing the 2,200 highly skilled professionals employed by the TVA. In Ms. Henson's words, the president's personal intervention saved these jobs, restored the workers to their rightful place, and set TVA on the path to returning to its mission of service to both the workers at the TVA and to the people of this country.
Our president is so amazing, isn't he? So he went in there, saw what TVA was doing, and this announcement was made. Well, did you know that the CEO of the Tennessee Valley Authority, Lee Ash, a former CEO of Ontario Power, when he joined TVA last year, he was paid more than $8.1 million in total compensation during his first 6 months on the job. Well, Trump, our president, President Trump's $400,000 annual salary is only a fraction of what Lee Ash is paid at TVA, and the president has called TVA's pay for its CEO ridiculous. Way to go, Mr. President. You know, he's causing a lot of waves. We've talked about it earlier, how he's making a lot of these rich folks very upset with him. And it was just interesting that if you hadn't seen this, I'm sure almost everybody knows, he was escorted out of a briefing as a man shot near the White House. The Secret Service said the incident happened 1 block from the compound when an officer fired on the suspect who had run aggressively towards him. An agent then walked on stage as President Trump was speaking and led him away. The president returned minutes later to say the situation was under control. And thanks to Boris Eshevin, at Boris EP for this clip.
Rattled by this at all, Mr. President?
I don't know. Do I seem rattled? It's unfortunate that this is a world, but the world's always been a dangerous place. It's not something that's unique. The world has been, you look back over the centuries, the world has been a dangerous place, very dangerous place, and it will continue, I guess, for a period of time.
He said it will continue, I guess, for a period of time. We definitely need to continue to lift him up in prayer. Now, this is "And we know," based off of my favorite Bible verse, Romans 8:28, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose." We're now sitting at 349,000 subscribers, almost 350. Thank you so much. Our backup channel, we're going to start doing live interviews soon. "And we know," too, is on the description box below. Thank you, Chris Brandt, for helping me with drop space. And also, KW's answering those emails. If you go to andweknow.com, you'll click to contact And We Know, and KW said check your spam folders for replies within 1 week. You can also go in that notification email box, put your email in there, and you'll receive a notification from us when a video is uploaded. And that's where you can get all those cool Patriot pins too. You can also find our great merchandise and stuff. Actually, I just wanted to mention, I forgot to mention this earlier, the CUE shirt that was made with the camouflage and that camo 17th letter on the front there and the 17 at the back was actually developed by my older son. He was sitting down with me watching what I was doing, and he came up with that whole concept. So proud of him. Also, we're on Twitter at And We Know, and Robert Christmas Stone is answering my Facebook messages, doing a great job there. So if you didn't catch this, the question here coming up here about Susan Rice being a possible VP pick prior to the pick from Biden came up. Probably shook the deep state up just a little. Check it out.
So I have an opinion question for you.
Okay.
Joe Biden is set to announce his running mate at any time now. We expect him to announce her. Many of your supporters feel that the reason that Obama's former NSA, Susan Rice, is at the top of Biden's list is that she can best cover up a lot of the Obamagate surveillance crimes that have taken place during your campaign. What are your thoughts? What is your opinion? Do you subscribe to that line of thought? How do you feel about it?
Well, look, the Obama campaign spied on our campaign, and they've been caught, all right? And now let's see what happens to them. But they have been caught. They've been caught red-handed. It's probably treason. It's a horrible thing they did. It probably never happened before. At least nobody got caught doing it. But they used the intelligence agencies of our country to spy on my campaign, and they have been caught. And there are a lot of people involved. I don't want to say how much she's involved. Frankly, if he chooses her, that's fine, but that's a potential liability. We'll see. But President Obama knew about it. Joe Biden knew about it. Comey knew about it. Brennan, Clapper, the whole group, they all knew about it. Lisa Page and her lover Strzok, they all knew about it. And we have it documented. We have it in texts. We have it in all sorts of forms. They knew about it. It was a terrible thing. Should have never happened and should never be allowed to happen again to a president. This should never happen again. This was a setup like we've never seen. I think it's the political crime of the century. And they've been caught. So let's see what happens to them all. Thank you very much.
I love it when he brings that up. They've been caught. And he gave a list all the way up to the previous president of the United States, calling them out for their treason. We know what the punishment for treason is. There's a resort down in Cuba called Gitmo, and there's further punishment for treason. Very interesting what can happen if this stuff gets out. We've been waiting for a long time. Well, we know that the VP pick for Joe Biden was placed out there. Obviously, what the Chanel Rion said was Susan Rice could be the pick. Well, not anymore. Too dangerous there, right? So who other than Alex Soros wants Kamala to win? Everybody needs to know this. She looks different after her facelift, too. So different. Well, Alexander Soros is on Twitter saying congratulations to our future vice president, Kamala Harris, history in the making. Supposedly, the pic on the bottom right there, Alex Soros, is a SPIRIT cooker. Notice there is seems like a body in the back. Let me zoom up on that one so you can see it. Pull this over. You can see that person laying there in the back. Very sick what these folks do. You can see that the father, George Soros, a.k.a. George Schwartz, as told to the Australian, a national newspaper, destroying America will be the culmination of my life's work. That whole family's corrupt. We know that. And Kamala definitely looked different in one of those recent interviews after what they would call a facelift. I almost call it demonic possession. So the Daily Caller put this out for us to never forget about Kamala. There's so much more terrible things about her, but check this out.
All across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
So, you know, Tulsi was pushed around quite a bit after making comments like that. She definitely, probably was not one of the puppets following orders, which reminded me of CUE 3731, slipped up there. Puppet following orders. Well, a lot of folks are talking about this picture. If you notice, old Biden's holding a phone upside down as he's talking and announcing to Kamala that she's the VP pick. I'm sure she already knew. And that phone is shattered. It's upside down. A mysterious person's on there. And also there's a script that needs to be read just to let her know that, you're going to be my VP pick. Got to read what the puppet masters want me to tell you. Well, going further, let's see when the president was asked about this. Check it out.
Regarding Senator Harris's record, you had a pretty quick response to that. You had an ad out that said that she was a phony, and I wanted to drill down.
She was a what?
Phony. And I wanted to ask about a specific example that a lot of people thought was a phony moment. As San Francisco DA, she oversaw, according to the Mercury News, 1,900 marijuana convictions. But she was asked in an interview last year if she had smoked marijuana, and she appeared to joke and, according to some people, lie and say that she was listening to Snoop Dogg and Tupac while their music hadn't come out at the time, while she said she was smoking pot, listening to it. Why would she lie about that? Do you see that as more evidence that is surpassed on marijuana a liability?
Well, she lied. I mean, she said things that were untrue. She is a person that's told many stories that weren't true. She's very big into raising taxes. She wants to slash funds for our military at a level that nobody can even believe. She is against fracking. She's against petroleum products. I mean, how do you do that and go into Pennsylvania or Ohio or Oklahoma or the great state of Texas? She's against fracking. Fracking's a big deal. She's in favor of socialized medicine, where you're going to lose your doctors, you're going to lose your plans. She wants to take your health care plans away from 180 million Americans. 180 million Americans that are very happy with their health insurance, and she wants to take that away. So she was my number one pick. I mean, she was, as they would say, because hopefully you'll start college football, she was my number one draft pick. and we'll see how she works out. She was extraordinarily nasty to Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh then, now Justice Kavanaugh. She was nasty to a level that was just a horrible thing, the way she treated now Justice Kavanaugh.
That's right. She did treat him terrible. One of the moments, if you remember, she aggressively questioned Kavanaugh, accusing him of using dog whistles with words like abortion on demand and racial spoils system. Harris fundraised off of the hearings as left-wing activists praised her for asking Kavanaugh about whether he believed men could be friends with some women while mistreating others. She also questioned Kavanaugh about whether he has communicated with anyone from President Trump's lawyer's law firm, even warning Kavanaugh to be careful about his response. Well, she's also condemned for posting a slice and dice video of Kavanaugh's testimony. Just sickening. Well, seems like the president knew she was coming up because they had an ad already ready to go.
Kamala Harris ran for president by rushing to the radical left, embracing Bernie's plan for socialized medicine, calling for trillions in new taxes, attacking Joe Biden for racist policies. Voters rejected Harris. They smartly spotted a phony. But not Joe Biden. He's not that smart. Biden calls himself a transition candidate. He is handing over the reins to Kamala while they jointly embrace the radical left. Slow Joe and phony Kamala. Perfect together. Wrong for America.
Wrong for America. What a great commercial there. And we know old Biden's not going to make it much longer, that she would step right into the presidency. Couldn't imagine something like that. We are... Remember, we have to get out and vote and do our part. It is so important to stay energized. Well, what about staying energized with that phone? A hiker from California was recently rescued after being stranded in Joshua Tree National Park for 40 hours with a broken leg. Cases like that is exactly why I carry the backup solar bank. The backup solar bank provides me with unlimited energy because it's powered entirely by solar panels. It's perfect for emergencies, including a powerful 20,000 mAh battery and convenient wireless charging for my cell phone. Get 20% off using my promo code NO20 in that description box below. Backup power bank by going to backupsolarbank.com in the description box today. So as the election moves on, do we have meddling going on? Yes. But who's meddling?
You just mentioned President Putin and the possibility of inviting him here because he's important. Your own Director of National Intelligence has said that Russia is currently planning or actually meddling in the election. Have you raised that directly with Putin ever?
They said China, Russia, Iran, and probably others. But because of the fake news, they seem to think Russia plays the best. So what they do, it's all right. Well, I'm just saying the way the politicians look. The other day, they said the three countries. They said China and Russia and Iran. And some reporter got up and said, Russia is meddling. I said, well, didn't it mention China and Iran? Why didn't you mention them, too? So I don't know. You know what I'm telling you? I'll tell you who's meddling in our elections. The Democrats are meddling by wanting and insisting on sending mail-in ballots where there's corruption all over the place. If you check...
You just mentioned President Putin.
That's right. The mail-in ballots. Nothing but trouble. We know that the mail-in voting, scientists find no connection between long lines and the spread of the COVID-19. The report published by the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention showed that voters who lined up to cast ballots in Wisconsin's primary elections on April 7th, the peak of the pandemic, did not contract the virus in high numbers. Quote, the CDC study of the impact on voters in Milwaukee revealed that 33% fewer deaths were reported 3 weeks after the elections than earlier in April, the Washington Times reported. Democrats have been pushing mail-in voting, claiming that the risk of virus transmission in long voter lines is high. Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak, for instance, signed legislation this week to institute universal mail-in voting. That is so sickening. Well, that was a nice bomb that they dropped there. Also, if you haven't noticed bombs and fires going off around the world, a lot of folks have been mentioning this. A very unusual number of fires and explosions have happened so far this month. And what's interesting is Tom Graham, Tom to Bad Cat, put this out. The recent fires seem to be happening in areas when you take the first letters of each area, it spells out something. Well, look at this. L is Lebanon, U, United Arab Emirates, C, China, I, Iraq, F, France, E, England. The last one we need is R, Russia. Well, sure enough, it happened in Russia, and then it spells out Lucifer. Lucifer. So I'm going to pull this thread over from the internet, and I just wanted to show you some of these areas. Thank you to Mental Breath Mint on Twitter for posting these and putting it together. There's a fire at Dogaran border crossing between Iran and Afghanistan. You got another one, a Beirut explosion. We saw that in slow motion right there, Beirut, Lebanon. We also had the explosion at the chemical factory in Wuhan on August 4th. You have the construction site fire at St. Paul, Minnesota. You had a forest fire in Albania. Look at that. Huge. You had forest fires in France on August 5th. Also, you had Ajman Market, United Arab Emirates, on fire. Multiple warehouse fire in Najaf, Iraq. You have massive gas explosions in North Korea. You had a rail station fire in Saudi Arabia right there. You can see that. We'll continue on. World Trade Center in Brussels is on fire. That was August the 7th. You can also see that there's a massive fire at Livestock Company in Tehran. There's another one, a video received from DRC, where a fire was broken out at the UNICEF depot. Another one in Bardi's Market in Iran. Look at this, all these giant warehouses and markets. Another one in Melbourne, Australia. Battery factory fire, another factory warehouse. Another gas explosion in Turkey. You saw that huge explosion there. An apartment complex. Continuing on, explosion at Russia. We talked about that one. You see that huge explosion there. And then you had a massive fire in Birmingham, UK. Huge, huge fire there. And then also you had a scare at the plant fire JFK Airport, New York on August the 10th. And a port explosion, Sussex, UK. Going on, a chemical factory fire in India. And we had a Grizzly Creek fire in Colorado. And a massive fire in Dubai. And another one here in India and Frankfurt, Germany, Nairobi, and more. You can get these in the description box below. All you have to do is go down there. I've got a list of them. You can click and read that thread. Another bomb that's being dropped is General Flynn's latest court hearing. Oh, it is so sickening to watch what's happening with him. The Federalist had a message out. Jack Flynn said, at Go Jack Flynn said, this is a great article to read. I put the full article in the description box below, but for nearly 4 hours Tuesday morning, the full D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals drilled attorneys for Michael Flynn, the Department of Justice, and Judge Emmett Sullivan on a wide range of issues. From the scope of federal rules of criminal procedure, which provides that the government may, with leave of court, dismiss an indictment, information, or complaint. Powell began with a short opening statement and then responded to questions posed by the 10 active judges hearing the appeal. So ridiculous it has to go this far. Catherine Herridge put on Twitter, Flynn, after nearly 4 hours oral arguments over at D.C. Appeals Court, government plus Flynn defense given 2-minute rebuttal. The acting Solicitor General Wall said, to be clear, none of this should be necessary. Amen to that. Well, we know that Sidney Powell's been fighting for him, an amazing warrior for General Flynn. This is what she had to say when she talked to the amazing Lou Dobbs.
We have now a judiciary that is showing itself to be rotten in political corruption, just as rotten as the former officialdom of the FBI and the Justice Department. The American people right now are about to become physically ill looking at what was once a judicial system that was the finest in all the world, an FBI that was storied in bravery and achievement, and it is rotten, and it may be rotten to the core for all we know. And now we have special investigators assigned, John Durham, to investigate the origins of Obamagate, and it looks like that's going to be a whitewash of the highest order. We not only lost our integrity, we have lost our guts. I'm deeply concerned about the state of our judiciary, the state of the Justice Department, and the FBI. I believe most Americans feel much the way I do. Your thoughts?
I'm very concerned too, Lou. I have always held our judiciary in the highest regard. I still do. I still want to. And I understand that sometimes they ask questions to test both sides that don't reflect what they think at all. But it's very important that they put politics out of this and decide the case as if it were John Doe, as opposed to creating a Michael Flynn exception to the rule of law that doesn't apply to anyone else, or that they wouldn't want to apply to somebody in their own family if they were in this situation. This has taken 4 years of the life of a dedicated American patriot who has just done everything humanly possible to serve his country. And it was started by an investigation that was corrupt from the beginning. They had no basis to investigate, and then they made up the false statements against him. And now the government's finally admitted the wrongs and wants to set it right, and we can't get the district judge to issue the order of dismissal. When every case in the country, the dismissal has to be granted. It's always granted because no court can make the government prosecute a case. So it's beyond frustrating, to say the least, that we're still here 3 months later trying to get a case dismissed that can't be prosecuted and should never have been prosecuted in the first place.
It should never have been prosecuted in the first place, and we know by that rogue FBI agent, leader, Comey, that it should never happen. And I'm getting word from some folks out there that sent me emails stating that it looks like they're not going to make a decision until December, which is after the election. Wonder why they would wait after that, huh? Boy, there's all kinds of information flowing in on that one. Well, other big bombs dropping was we had another night of what people like Jerry Nadler calls a myth. There's robbing, looting, and shooting. This is from AKA Real Dirty.
Chaos yet again overnight while protesters demand drastic changes in policing in Seattle. And at the same time, gun violence is plaguing cities like Washington, D.C. and Chicago.
Garrett Tenney is live in Chicago for us this morning. Garrett, where were police when all this was happening?
Well, Sandra, police say they were here, but simply put, there were too many people and too many crimes happening at one time for them to be able to get things under control in any matter of reasonable time. It wasn't until early this morning that things started to calm down. In fact, just a few hours ago, there were people still breaking into this Old Navy right downtown in Chicago in the Loop. You can see these windows that were busted earlier, just this past hour. The front door, one of the front doors was busted open and there were clothes coming out of the store. Witnesses say that they saw essentially a coordinated effort, caravans of cars bringing folks to the downtown area, dropping them off. Folks would run inside, smash and grab, come back out with whatever they could carry in their arms, shopping bags, get back in the cars and move on to the next location. You can just hear how overwhelmed police were on the scanner traffic from last night.
We got a call from the FBI that they're breaking out the windows. If somebody can advise what the cross streets are.
We've got looting at Cermak in Michigan. Cermak in Michigan, cash wrap, glass breaks, Nordstrom. Several people have broken in and they have guns.
This all started shortly after midnight, and city officials shut down all bus and train traffic into the city. They raised all bridges and diverted highway traffic to try and get things under control.
Well, what did the Black Lives Matter Chicago leader on the looting of all these stores, how does she feel about all this?
If somebody decides to loot a Gucci or a Macy's or a Nike, because that makes sure that that person eats. That makes sure that that person has clothes. That's reparations. That is reparations. Anything they want to take it, because these businesses have insurance. They're going to get their money back. My people aren't getting anything.
So she's telling them, go ahead and go out there and loot, steal as much as you want because it's reparations, for stuff that happened many, many, many years ago. So just go out and grab what you want, folks. It's all free. No worries. Well, it's interesting because when the Black Lives Matter leaders break the law, you have folks like the one in California who faces 15 years in prison and faces 5 felonies. Well, Tiana Arata was arrested last month by the San Luis Obispo Police Department after a protest she organized turned violent. The 20-year-old California-based activist organized a demonstration involving more than 300 people who blocked a highway and attacked a vehicle with a 4-year-old child inside. That's right, a 4-year-old child was in there. They were breaking the windows of that vehicle. So it was supposed to be peaceful. It turned out not to be. She's in big trouble. Well, it's interesting because I remember reading headlines where they're going to release 15,000 prisoners, I believe, in California anyway, so she'll probably be among those after they put her in. Well, in other parts of the earth, the United States, we've got the Antifa showing up. But what did the folks in Colorado do?
That's awesome, man. We got a real sheriff in town, man.
So you heard that they got the real sheriff in town now. I'm going to fast forward just so you can see exactly what's going on. They have those horses pushing those folks back. You don't want to mess with those beautiful horses. So off they go. They're walking away. They know they are being kicked out of that city. Folks are coming together, and they are causing disruption finally for Antifa. Well, as we get to a close, I wanted to show these CUE drops that seem to be connected in some way, shape, or form. Looks like we have where the president said on August 10th at 2:13 p.m., play college football. Well, that same timestamp, 2:13 p.m., was on the CUE stamp, timestamp 2:13, where think the football. And that's the same drop, if you look at that drop, that says the test of the emergency broadcast system is on Thursday. NSA monitoring for any attempts to disrupt and/or term access. Central Command. Interesting, right? They're testing, it seems like a message to us to let us know that the emergency broadcast system is being tested. And then a little while later, at 7:20 p.m., the president posts a video we want to play, which is dealing with football. And if you go to the drop 720, you'll see the EMS EBS activations. The emergency broadcast system activations is in that 720 drop. So it's almost like a confirmation of that particular drop. Well, Thinking for Yourself said that this is a great dig, replying to HMCD123 who put that drop out. And I put these in the description box below. Noticing that football, soccer ball, Roger Ball has been called good and green, brilliantly ties into the tweet from Scavino and the military yesterday. Remember, we showed that video 2 days ago of the president entering, giving the salute 2-second clip. The president won't be seen for a while, right? And then you look at the CUE drop number 2, which says HRC's detained, not arrested yet. HRC being Clinton. The president will not go on TV to address the nation. The president must isolate himself to prevent negative optics. The president knew removing criminal rogue elements as a first step was essential to free and pass legislation. So you got other drops where you have CUE 1433, military operation, green. And then you'll notice that the Army had a post of the new green service uniform. Interesting, right? We'll get going even a step further. The timestamp of the Navy tweet, which is right here, we'll move forward. The Navy had a Twitter post which had the number 69 on the ship, and also said they had a record-breaking 206 consecutive days at sea. Well, the 206, it references the drop 206. Teams on standby. Can't wait for the green light. Remember, we've been talking a lot about green lately. And then the 69 on the ship picture relates to the CUE drop 69. Godspeed to those who will be put in harm's way. You are the bravest men and women on earth. We will never forget. And then you'll see that Bible verse. Well, going a step further, the timestamp of that Navy tweet that you saw right here was actually at 4:49. Well, that's got the number 2 marker, Andrew McCabe. The number 2 marker, HRC, detained, not arrested. Remember the 2-second clip of the president getting in the vehicle and saluting, and you had CUE drop 2. That's where you have the president's verified account. Who posted first? See that drop? 4:49 drop. The number 2 marker. Number 2 related to drop number 2, and then the 2-second clip all seem to be related to HRC detained, not arrested yet. Interesting, right? So it goes all the way down to the end with that verse added in, knowing that these pieces of puzzles would come together later. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. Green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. CUE, 17th letter.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you now once again, thanking you for the communications that happen, that you had set up through brilliant folks, being used by you to destroy the enemy and to wake us up. We thank you for all that you're doing through our amazing president. We ask for his protection, his family's protection, that you would surround him with your mighty angels continually to fight off the enemy who's coming from all directions. Thank you so much for the strength that you've given him through our prayers, for him to be able to stand there and say, do I look flustered? He is being protected and he knows it. And we thank you for that. For all these things and our protection of our own families, and wisdom for all of us through these dark days. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. If you like this video, please hit that like button and share. Sharing gets around the algorithm set up to destroy this channel. Thank you for the great comments below and for all of the support through our merchandise, the new shirts and stuff that you're doing there. Thank you for that support. And PayPal and the patrons, thank you so much. For now, this is LT with And We Know, signing out.